Hi there. Here we are on the wisteria again, and I've tried a couple of times to make a video of this thing, and the sound didn't work either time. This time I think I have the microphone turned on, and this thing is wobbling around because that's the way I have it set up, and I'll show you why. We're on the flat side of this lamp, and let me lift this phone or camera up a little bit so you can see where we're at. We're on the flat side of this lamp, and I've already done some soldering. I'm about a third of the way around, and I would have brought you in on the earliest part of it, but I had trouble figuring out this camera audio. Anyway, let's go back here to where we can see what we're doing. Okay, we're going to flux this area right here, and I'll show you how you solder this stuff. And bear in mind, we're still on the we're still on the fiberglass form, and we'll be on that form until we get this thing completely soldered all the way around. So what we'll do is, let's see, where do we want to go here? We'll go right up. See if you can. Look, there's a little thing on my screen here that keeps me from seeing what I need. There you go. Okay, what we'll do is come right up here in the high part of this thing. And I have this thing, I don't know, I like this way I have this. Since I can solder this whole side flat now, a crown lamp or a lamp with a rounded side, you have holders and stuff that'll hold that lamp and allows you to move the project around and keep it flat or horizontal so that the solder doesn't run. Well, I have this whole setup on about 5 layers of foam rubber, and what that does for me, it allows my, and I don't know whether you can see, probably can't see this or not, but anyway, let me put this back here. My arms rest on this mold, which allows me to work this area with the solder and allows me to make real small moves underneath the solder work, and allows me to keep this thing exactly in the horizontal where I want it, or allows me to tilt if I get too much foil, say up in a spot up here, it allows me to pull back and run that foil or run that solder back out of there. So this is a way I like to do a lamp that's got a flat side like this that I can move around. And what we're doing, we're just going to flux an area up here, and I'll show you how you do this. And I'm using my favorite soldering iron again, and I didn't realize that people that do this kind of work really get partial to a particular soldering instrument, and boy, I mean, they'll get upset with you if you go off and talk about something that you think is better or whatever. So I'm happy with the way this thing works. This is one of these Hako Hako, and Japanese company, and this is an FX601, and it's real light, so you think it's puny and won't work, and this thing's amazing. I've got the temperature set at 460. Let's turn it around here where you can see it somewhere here. Get under the camera there. Probably too close, it's not clear. Anyway, 460 Celsius, and that's where I'm going to run it. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. I could look it up. Anyway, we're going to put a little, see where you can come back and see what I'm doing. I'm going to put a little bit of solder right underneath this edge of this branch here and run it down to the foil that's right under that piece there. Okay, I think you'll be able to see what I'm doing a little bit better. Let me position myself where you can see the solder being done. Okay, here's an existing place where I stop. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, and this tip is 1/8 of an inch, so I don't think anybody's soldering stained glass and stuff like that with an 1/8 of an inch tip because it's so small, but boy, is it a surgical instrument here. So what I'm trying to do here is build a bead, you know, a little bit of height on the solder that I'm melting and welding into that copper. And you can see this thing moving around. That's actually me. I'm going to move it up this way. that's actually me. I hit the phone, didn't I? Hit the camera. Me moving this thing into a position where I can get that solder to not run, like gravity take it the wrong place. See, so now I'm pulling it back to me now and setting it, making sure it's in a real good position just to sit there and harden. That looks good. So let's come right here. Yeah, you can see that. Come right there, and we're soldering right on the tip of that branch. And I've got the flux on there, and the flux is just a real mild acid, very mild, that is consuming the oxygen at the point these two dissimilar, actually 3 dissimilar metals come together. The solder is 60% tin, which gives it some strength. The other 40% is lead. And now I'm just building this bead up as I go down here. You notice I always lift up, generally, unless I'm moving the solder around, lift up to get that solder joint to pool underneath the solder. Now let's see if you can see this. I'm going to get up here, way up here. Whoa. We're going to, now normally we'd pull the lamp a different direction to try to do this, but we're going to see if that, we can get that to work. There's a, got to be able to see this. There's a little inclusion that needs some solder right there. Alright, and then let's go just straight across here. Yeah, you can see this. I've got these there. I have these optivisors on that give me extra power to see real close what I'm doing, and I had them cocked sideways and I couldn't get focused in. I'm thinking, man, I've got these optivisors messed up. But anyway, there you go. Okay, now we're going to pull a little bit of that, a little bit much there, so let's heat this. Now all I'm going to do is take my arms and pull down and get a little gravity working for me, and that solder just runs this direction and then pools where I want it to pool. Here we are again. A little too much, right? So I could just get it hot and slide it down, excess right on down there. Build a little more. Okay. I'm going to see if you can see me. Yep. I have got my monitor on my laptop over here, so I've got this camera sitting right above me. And, of course, you wouldn't want to see a whole day of this. I've been doing this for a couple of days now. And it's been going real well. I'm just building it up, see? And we're creating a lot of strength here in this matrix. And we're just kind of trying to keep the height somewhat uniform. You know, it certainly doesn't have to be exact. It'd probably look real weird if it was all exact. Maybe not handmade, but, you know, you want a nice piece of work. All right, and I'm looking right around me here to see if there's... now here's an area. I'm pulling way down on this lamp now. It's nearly touching the bottom of the mold is nearly touching the table now. Since this is a real small tip on this iron, you would expect that it'd take a while to heat up a piece of metal that big up here, and it is. But if I'm patient, there. Okay, now I got a pretty good, can you see that? Yeah. I got a pretty good intersection there. Now let's build this up and go on across. And the reason it hasn't been done yet is because I've not had the lamp in a... Here's another cavity right here. I better get some flux. I've not had the lamp in a position, or if I did, I didn't take advantage of it, in a position where I could get the solder to flow or run where I wanted it based on where I had the lamp at the time I was working on it, some other area. Now, I don't know whether you can see this or not. Let's see if you can. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to try to heat this. There's a cavity right there that I want to fill. And so I'm going to try to, I'm going to clean this iron off just a little bit. See that iron? Nice tip on that iron. That 1/8 inch is amazing. Alright, and we're going to I just kind of tin the end of the iron there just a little bit. And we're going to put some heat on this branch right here, and what I'm trying to do is get it hot so the solder would run under it, and I'm pulling back on the mold just a little bit. Oh, man, I'll take that. Okay, now we got one little spot right here, and we're going to just get that spot and then come out.
Jill and Jerry.
Oh no, I can't deal with that now. Come on. All right, I'll come back to that. All right, I bet that thing rings again. All right, maybe, most likely. Let's see, here we are. Okay, we're at the end of this branch. Can you see that? Yes. We're at the end of this branch. We're just going to add a little. Now, yeah, I told you.
Jerry phone.
There. I may turn that thing off in a minute. Am I bouncing the camera all over the place? Yeah, we got lost here. There we go. Okay. So let's go right here. And we won't bore you with too much of this. This is just how it's done. I'm pushing up on the mold now to level this thing a little bit, and see, it makes the solder, well, makes the solder go kind of where I want it to go when I get it hot. See, because it's a liquid for just a second or so, but it's certainly a liquid long enough to run someplace you don't want it. All right, and by my elbows and stuff, being able to move this thing around, I can just sit here and rock it around just ever so slightly and take advantage of soldering up this difficult area to get to. Here we go. Still just building the height of that solder bead. Oh, and it's so strong, and particularly with a, oh boy, that glass right there tried to pop up. We got it back down. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm probably running out of area that I fluxed. Here, let's go right here. I think you can see this pretty well. I'm looking over at the monitor. All right. And we're just just trying to build that bead up to a, kind of a uniform height. You won't get it too high because it'll just overrun, flood, run out, be too large. It'll spread sideways. So there's kind of a fine line there. It's just practice. If you do a bunch of it, you get. Oops! We're out of flux. You can tell right there that I'll show you the difference. That the solder does not want to stick or weld or combine. We go back and just heat that area up again, move that out, lift it up. Here's an area right here, and we got, so there's way too much solder, see there, so we'll just pull it out of there. And now I used my elbows again, pulling down on the mold to give me a little bit of gravity to pull that thing downward. Let's do let's build it up just a little bit more here. Okay, I guess if you have some questions about how I'm doing, there's not much to this. It's just soldering and putting the flux on. Starting to get an idea of how intricate this lamp is, and I definitely have a relationship with the number of pieces that are in it, because I cut them all and then foiled them. Oh, I'm looking back on how much work went into just getting them foiled. However, here we're getting the payoff because we've got this gorgeous colors and this nice strong matrix with a decent solder job. It's going to be a nice lamp. Okay, so you see where I'm at. And that's how you do this, and you just go around and around this thing. And let's see. We're going to take this wooden hub system off. Oh, it'll probably be a couple of days, because we're going to set a couple of big lights. Oh my goodness. Now somebody's calling me from, you got to be kidding. Unbelievable. There we go. I get calls from places you can't even pronounce the name of the country. And then if you answer, most of the time you can't understand what they're saying, they can't understand what you're saying. So anyway, that's the way it goes. Anyway, we're going to take this out and put a couple of heavy watt light bulbs in there, heat this wax up that's on this form, and we'll be able to separate the lamp at that time from the form itself, or the mold. You can see where we're working here. Got a ways to go, but the soldering is actually moving along real good. I'm happy with it. Okay, that's all I have. I appreciate the attention, and by the way, if you have any questions, as always, be sure and ask. Thank you.